Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the AOR Hyper Energy Season 18 Formula 4 League here on the PC. We're here in the desert at the Bahrain International Circuit. The track was designed by Herman Tilke and cost $150 million when it was built in only 16 months. Bahrain was the first ever F1 race to be held in the desert when it joined the calendar back in 2004. The circuit also features a well-distinct 8-story VIP tower. According to the circuit's website, there are over 4,700 staff working at the circuit during Grand Prix weekends, including 1,800 police and security staff, 600 track marshals and 25 doctors. The first race, back in 2004, was won in dominant fashion by the legendary Michael Schumacher in his F2004 Ferrari. The first night race was in 2014 to celebrate 10 years of the Bahrain GP. Ever since then, it has been a night race on the F1 calendar. Now for some AOR track records. The fastest pole time was set by the Flying Finn, and the fastest overall race time is set by current F1 esports champion Brendan Lee. Before we look quickly at the circuit, let's check out the tyres, which for this weekend will be as always, soft, mediums and hard, and they are for this weekend the C1, C2 and C3 compound respectively. We will as always have the intermediates and full wets if the rain decides to fall down. Now at last for the circuit. It is 5.4 or 3.3 miles long, it has 2 DRS zones and 15 corners, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, making it a very open and fast track. We'll certainly be looking forward to the race and qualifying. But before we get into that, let's introduce ourselves here in the commentary box. I'm Jens, and joining me tonight we have Julio. Julio, we had some great racing last week, which you had to commentate all alone. Do you think the racing tonight will be just as good, or maybe even better?
Yeah, good evening everyone. I hope that it will be even better than last time out in Australia. Of course, I also hope that I won't have to commentate on it as in radio style. I hope that we will stay in the lobby, but we will both stay in that lobby and watch this amazing race. Of course, Bahrain, this is a very, very tricky circuit to master. It has 4 long straights, 3 DRS zones, quite a few corners, of course, as you said, 15 corners, but most of them are sort of slow to medium speed corners. You have only, well, turn 12, like a super fast right-hander, where the curb really likes to destabilize the car and cause many problems there. But apart from that, those corners aren't that quick. That means that the teams tend to go with low drag setup here. That means that we have many overtaking opportunities here, and that means that the race could be very exciting. On the other hand, we have a very abrasive track surface here, and you can realistically make a 2-stopper work here, but it's very tricky. It's better to qualify on harder set of tires and go for a 1-stop strategy instead of going for a 2-stop strategy. So let's look out for those who are sacrificing a bit of pace in qualifying to have better race strategy.
Yeah, that will be quite interesting to see, as you said there. And yeah, we're looking forward to see what strategies the guys tonight are choosing. Because are they qualifying in the top 10, you have to remember that they have to start on their best qualifying tyre. So that will challenge them, of course, in some of the strategies with the tyre wear. As we see a couple of guys putting in lap times here already. We see Verstappen putting it on pole position provisionally. Now Obi-Wan Kenobi takes it. Slowly the ball will fill up with times.
Yeah, but look that all those first guys who have set their lap times, they are almost everyone has set their lap times on a hard set of tires. Of course, that is C1 compound, the hardest tire in this season. Only Jeff Kane has went out on mediums right now, and there are some guys who are shown to have softs put on, but they are still in the garage. Meanwhile, Schultz is only 4 thousandths of a second behind Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that's really, really close. We have a really close group right now fighting at the top because ARC Volsteppen is just 16 thousandths of a second behind Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kevin Balash, meanwhile, is 1/10 of the pace, so these guys are pretty quick already, despite using the hardest set of tires.
Yes, indeed, and it's interesting to see with these guys putting on the hard tires instead of going for maybe a medium or soft compound that you maybe would see in other races. Here we see Kane coming across the line on medium tires, setting, not surprisingly, the fastest lap, and Verstappen is out. What happened to him?
I don't know,
Ooh.
I guess it was turn 12, but only that's only my guess. We have a yellow flag in sector 3, so that might be the the curb in turn 12, but I don't see any. Oh, that wasn't certainly turn 12. Well, he has stopped in the middle of that straight between turns 13 and 14, so not sure what happened there, but it was certainly very, very weird collision there with the wall. As Steppen will have to start probably from the back, but we will have to wait because many people will change their tires later on. There are some guys who are improving their lap times, of course. For example, Kevin Balash, who is going for the faster lap time, going through that penultimate straight into turns 14 and 15. We have a yellow flag in sector 3, but that's just someone going slowly here, and the pink Racing Point car goes into P2, but the fastest from the guys who have used only the hard tire right now. Kevin goes only 5 thousandths of a second better than Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is not improving his lap time as seen by the time delta, and he is going to the pit lane. Meanwhile, Schultz, the third fastest guy on the hardest compound tire, he has improved his sector one lap time, sector one time by 2/10 of a second. Now 1/10 of a second up in second sector, so he will also improve and probably go into P2. Just two corners to go, only one now. Good exit for the into that final straight. DRS wide open, and he will be certainly in P2, 128.7. And I can see that Jeff Kane is not calculating at all. He will go onto a brand new set of soft tires and will try to set a pole position lap time. Uh, Other guys, well, they haven't used soft compound tires. Levy is meanwhile starting his second push lap. He had to abort his first lap. He is on a new set of medium tires right now in P15. Someone has improved. That was Grzegorz, who has set a time of 1 minute 30.0. Grzegorz had a really unlucky race in Australia, but he may return. He may return to glory today, but for now, it's only 11th place in that session.
Yes, and the thing that I've spotted that the drivers are having a bit of issues with is the third final corner just before they go out on the straight between corners 13 and 15. They seem to be losing grip, and a couple of drivers I've seen almost abort their laps after that because they simply put their foot down a bit too quickly. And that's a problem that we have seen before, but with this year's car, it is a bit more apparent that the drivers are struggling on this circuit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very tricky corner, that turn 13. After going through turn 12, if they manage not to clip that inside curb, they are going full off, in full throttle into that turn 13. Very hard to spot your braking point there, and very easy to overshoot that corner. Also, as you've said, very easy to spin up the rear tires on the exit and lose a lot of time on that long straight. Let's be honest, that straight into turn 14 is one of the longest straights on that circuit. Certainly longer than straight into turn 4 and longer than the straight going into turn 11. So when you lose time on the exit, that's a very apparent loss.
Yeah, and
Meanwhile, Evil
sorry to
Kiwi,
interrupt you, but I think Evil Kiwi has been
yeah,
having an off in sector 2 and has lost a big chunk of his front wing. Is now trying to limp it home to the pits, it seems, because he will certainly not be setting any times with that car as he goes very wide coming into that tricky braking zone there, also letting that Red Bull past.
he probably lost it out of turn 4 in Sebastian Vettel style, like the German lost it fighting with Lewis Hamilton this year's Bahrain Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Jeff Kane on the new set of soft tires, he's 8 tenths up on his best lap. Let's see, that should be around 127.7. Let's see how he goes through that penultimate corner. Now through the final one. DRS will be wide open right now, and he crosses the line with a time of 127.532. That's certainly faster than Charles Leclerc's lap record of qualifying lap record of 127.8 set during this year's Q3. Of course, that's the real circuit record. Um, but as we know, the AOR circuit record is faster than this one.
Yes, we see a couple of guys still out on the circuit. You would be looking to see some guys go into the pits now, make their final fuel up and put on the fresh tires to go out and put in that final mad dash, as some call it, that final time at the very end of the qualifying session. Just
We just missed that Shad has gone into P2. He is on 128.6, but meanwhile, Kevin Balash 127.964 on a set of medium tires. I wonder if these guys will try to push for that pole position. I don't think so. That's Jeff Kane who goes all in onto that set of of soft tires. But I don't think that that most of the guys will try to set their lap times on soft tires. I think they are playing the long game and will just sacrifice a bit of pace during the qualifying.
yes, that is a thing you can do, because if you just go on out here on the soft tires, you will have to be very careful not to wear them too much, because they are not holding that long in the race. So the medium or the hards are maybe the better choice in qualifying, just so you can hold it out a bit longer in the race than make it easier on a one stop.
Yeah, that's exactly. And this probably only with China is those are two circuits that allow this tactic to work. Not real. I don't really think that we will have another circuit that will sort of even promote this kind of strategy. But of course, some will try an alternative race strategy later on in the season. It's not like they won't, of course.
I think later on, as we see Kevin Balish retire, what could the reason for that be? Could it just be that he don't think he can put in a better time, or did he crash somewhere in Sector 1?
I think he is just not putting, he thinks he can improve his lap time. It's a really decent lap time, if you ask me. 127.9 on a set of medium tires, of course. Uh, that is that is going to be a solid top 10 lap time at the end of the race, at the end of the qualifying session, I should have said. So I believe that's just he doesn't really think he can improve. I am watching. Who am I watching really? Let's say I am watching Selig, who has just set the third fastest lap time, 128.4 on a medium tire, but that is slower than that is just slower than Kevin Balash. We don't have a yellow flag, but he is doing something really weird out of turn 3, I suppose. I have a really, really bad camera from his front suspension, but
I think he
as
may have lost it out of
yeah,
that very tricky first couple of corners, because if you just be a bit eager on the throttle, you can lose it very easily. But it seems like he didn't lose any front wing or anything like that. We'll see
yeah,
a
he just
couple of.
just lost it. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi has gone into P3 128.2, but that is still only P3, only 3/10 of Kevin Balazs's pace, but that's still 7/10 of Jeff Kane's pole time. Shad has he hasn't improved. He has started his probably certainly final qualifying lap here on the desert. He will try to improve on his 128.8 lap time. That was set on hard set of tires. Let's see how the first sector goes. And that's only 26 thousandths of a second better than his fastest sector 1 lap time. Let's see how will his second sector look. Meanwhile, Schultes is trying to warm up his tires just a little bit more and will start his final lap push lap. Levy has retired from the session, same as ARC Volsteppen, but that of course has happened some time ago.
Yes, we also see JSR jump up into 5th place, as we see Shad here coming to the end of Sector 2. 4 tenths, almost 5 tenths up, coming now down to the last couple of corners. What will he be able to produce? I don't think it'll be a pole time, but he can at least get up high enough to challenge for front row as he opens the DRS, comes across the line, goes into 3rd place. Just not fast enough to get that second place and that second front row.
Is close to finishing this lap. That's returned 5/10 up on his best lap time. That should be something on the verge of getting into top 10. The reserve McLaren driver, he is up into P9 just behind Selig. And who will be the next one to cross the line? That should be Schultes. Shad has retired from the session. Schultes is 7/10 up on his best lap time. Jeff Kane has improved even more, 127.4, but surely he will be the only driver to start on soft tires. Meanwhile, Schultes probably goes into P2. Yes, he does that. 127.8, just 1/10 ahead of Evil Kiwi, and Nutzer Nutz has gone into P6. Who else? Richie B is aborting his lap. JSR is really, really slow, so it's only Grzegorz who will try to improve his lap time because Zoran will not improve. Well, he has improved into P13. I'm sorry for that mistake. Meanwhile, Grzegorz 129.5, it was his best lap time, and now it is 128.0. He is in P5 ahead of his teammate, I have to add, but he hasn't beaten the pole time. Jeff Kane, with a time of 127.4, sets the pole time. He will start from pole in the race, but he will have to use a set of used soft tires at the beginning of the race. Will that set him back in strategy-wise? We will have to see.
Yeah, as we just transition onto this black screen as we wait for the official qualifying stats to come up, we see Kane on pole position, Schultz in second place, finishing off that front row. Then we have Evil Kiwi in third, Kevin Balch in fourth, Gregors in fifth, Shad in sixth, Nuts and Nuts in seventh, Obi-Wan Kenobi in eighth, Richie B in ninth, and JSR finish off that fifth row and top 10. Then we have Shelly in 11th, and I didn't get to finish off the rest of the grid. But
We
before,
only had 30 seconds for your
yeah,
defense, so
it's good.
it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, and just before we head into the race, here's a short message from our sponsors, Hype Energy. Alright then, welcome back from that, and welcome to a what looks like to be a not cloudy Bahrain. It's hard to see. Yes, it
That's a surprise.
is. Yep, and we're seeing the drivers go out now on their warm-up lap, this formation lap, as we wait for them to line up on the grid.
And Zoran has left the session. His AI car has started the formation lap, so he will have the possibility to return to that race, of course. But it certainly sets him back a a lot. I'm sorry for that noises in the background, but that is just a lively city that's outside of my window.
Is it just me, or is the whole top 10 starting on soft tyres when they qualified on mediums?
No, that's just only you. Okay, that's something big actually on my street. That's why it's happening. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but yeah, strategy-wise, Jeff Kane starts on a set of soft tires, but the whole top 10, Schultes, Evil Kiwi, Kevin Balash, Grzegorz, Shad, Nutzernutz, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Richie B, and JSR are all starting on medium tires. Then Selly can return, and Ripson will go on a set of hard tires. Zoran, who has left the lobby as we remember, he will start on mediums. Scrippy and Levy will start on hards. ARC Volsteppen and Krusix will start on mediums. Zoran has returned to the lobby, so he may as well start this race by himself.
Yeah.
Jeff Kane has finished the formation lap, so we will go very, very shortly, and we will start this race very, very shortly. Tension rises in Bahrain, of course. I don't know why I said Baku. It's still 2 weeks till we go there.
Yep, as we see the drivers line up here for this AOR Hyper Energy Season 18 Formula 4 race, the second round here at Bahrain, as they're waiting for the five red lights to come on, as it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's lights out and away we go. Jeff Kane gets a mediocre start, but it looks like Sherlock from second place will go up into first place before the first corner. Jeff Kane boxed down a bit. It looks like he had quite a bad start compared to the other guys. We have Kevin Battleshop into third place, Gregorish in fourth. It looks like a couple of other guys just jumped up, and there's a yellow flag in sector 1 as one of the McLaren drivers and Ripson in the Ferrari had a tangle further down. But a great start from Charlotte going up into first place. Jeff Kane will now be chasing him down to go into first place, as there's now more yellow flags. What happened?
Not the yellow flag, but I think it's only some incidents in the background. I think one of the driver is lagging. Now it's Zoran who has lost out quite a lot of time actually. He has lost half of his front wing. Similar to OV1 Kenobi, who also doesn't have his right end plate. Who else is having problems? That's Nuts, who is plummeting down the order. He has started well inside that top 10, but he has lost his left end plate, and he is now down into 14th place. Lots of understeer, as we can see. So probably will have to pit very, very shortly.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him, as he started in such a great position. But now we see Evil Kiwi try and make a move for fourth place on Gregorish, but it seems like he will be getting it into turn 1, as we had a terrible camera angle. No, they go side by side coming through turn 3, I believe that is, coming down to turn 4, still going side by side. I think Shad is trying to join in and go 3 wide. They are not able to do so. He falls back a bit. He gets a big tank slapper there, and JSR just touches his front wing, and he loses a bit of his M plate there.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate collision between the teammates. Meanwhile, Grzegorz has overtaken Evil Kiwi once again, so it looks like the Williams driver is still not ahead. Levy gets a 3-second time penalty already. As we've seen, only Nuts, Richie B and Zoran have all been into the pit lane. Meanwhile, the guys are still fighting there. Schultes has somewhat gone ahead. He has somewhat stretched his advantage, but only slightly. It's like half a second between him and Jeff Kane. But Kevin Balash is really, really close. I think he's closer to the Haas than the Haas is to the Williams, but I'm getting proved wrong, because Jeff Kane just has said the fastest lap time. 1:32.5 is his fastest lap time right now. DRS will be enabled on this lap, so watch out for some attacks into turn 4. Remember that turn 4 is a weird corner where the outside line seems to be more advantageous in the on-track battles, so watch out for many round the outsider moves.
Yes, as we see Shad being within 3/10 of Evil Kiwi. I think Shad will be trying to go for a move, as I think some of the gaps in the field are a bit too large to go for moves, but Evil Kiwi is also very close to Gregorish there in 4th place, but Shad behind him, will he be able to go for a move into that corner? No, he will not. He was just out marking himself in the mirrors just to maybe provoke a mistake, but he wasn't able to get past him. Shad still on the tail of Evil Kiwi, coming down to the last couple of corners now. Will he be able to make the move? He goes down the inside. They're now going side by side, but Evil Kiwi had just that small bit of an advantage of speed, and was just, you could just go on the brakes a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so that Williams guy, Schultes, has just set the fastest lap of the race. He has basically had the advantage over the corners. Through the corners, he is faster than Jeff Kane, but of course he is losing quite a bit on straights because he doesn't have the DRS, and unlike the Haas driver. But the Haas driver, he will have to pit very, very shortly. RGB already sets a monstrous lap time for this for this for this driver. He is, well, for this, I was going to say for this stage of the race. I'm sorry for getting a little bit confused here. 1 minute 32.0, so that's half a second quicker than Schultes. But look at that, we have a top 3 probably and possibly fighting it out on the track. But let's not forget that Jeff Kane is on a different strategy. He will have to pit very soon, and let's see how it will end. Levy gets a 3 seconds time penalty yet again, so he's already on 6 seconds and has been overtaken by Krusix. Remember, Krusix had a qualifying ban for events in Australia. He hasn't started in the qualifying, and he is now up into P11. Meanwhile, Evil Kiwi and Gregor, they are fighting it out very, very hard indeed.
Yeah, I think that Shad and Evil Kiwi has just caught up to Gresha, that seems to be having some problems with the pace. Very clever of those two not to fight too much to try and catch up to 4th place here. And as you said just before, with the leaders being very close, I believe that they are all within a second up at the top, or within 1.1 second of each other, from the leader down to Kevin Balish. But now just let's keep an eye on this battle for 4th place, because Evil Kiwi is very close to Gresha and Shad is close to Evil Kiwi. So this is a 3-way battle for 4th place, but it seems that the corners, that complex after the DRS straight going down to the last straight, is quite tough on the downforce, so I don't think they're able to carry on as much momentum being behind each other.
Yeah, meanwhile, I think Jeff Kane is already starting a bit to struggle on those used soft tires. Meanwhile, Evil Kiwi, of course, will try to overtake Grzegorz into turn 1. Grzegorz went really defensive, but round the outside goes Evil Kiwi, and that's the job done for you. And meanwhile, Grzegorz will have to already defend from Shad into turn 4, but remember, the outside line works really, really well here. And no overtakes into that turn 4. Meanwhile, look at that. Schultes has gained half a second in that first sector.
Yeah, so now that you see Evil Kiwi in front of Gresha, he is able to pull a bit of a gap. Could he maybe go on and fight for the podium here? Because it looks like he has the overspeed on the guys behind him, and with those 3 drivers at the top being so close, they could be affected by the dirty air. So with Evil Kiwi having a bit more cleaner air than them, he is able to put a couple of tenths better lap times in than they are.
Well, that's certainly look at that as well. Kevin Balash is still within the DRS range of Jeff Kane. Jeff Kane can't use Schultes's DRS, so he will have to watch out for Kevin trying a lunge or something like that. Meanwhile, Grzegorz is defending from Shad into that turn 1. He also brakes really, really late, They almost touch, and he around the outside goes Shad. That was a really, really nice overtake with a slight bit of contact between him and the Red Bull driver. He will now have the outside line into turn 4. Will he make his move stick? No, it looks like Grzegorz has still stayed on the inside. Up into P5 goes Shad into that turn 7. Really, really good overtaking maneuver.
Yes, that was some great fighting there. A bit of touching, but that's what we like. Touching without crashing each other out. It is some great racing you can get off of that, as we see a couple of drivers getting close to each other further down on the field. We have Crysis within 3/10 of Obi-Wan Kenobi from starting from the back of the grid with that qualifying ban to go all the way up into 9th place. There has been some contact further down the field, so they've had to pit, but Krusty is still doing great, getting up into 9th place after starting last place.
Yeah, that's for sure. Kevin Balash is again closer to Jeff Kane than he used to be. Evil Kiwi will also be really, really close to that battle. The whole group has sort of closed down on each other. Jeff Kane only just outside the second behind Jeff Kane. Meanwhile, Crucix has overtaken Obi-Wan Kenobi into turn 1. That was a really easy maneuver. Also, I was looking at one group, but I forgot which group was that actually. So I'm sorry for that.
Yes, that was
And
the...
return
Oh,
again
yeah.
against their penalty. And look, now Kevin Balash only 1/10 behind Jeff Kane. He is now really, really pushing that Haas driver. 2/10 between them, and the Racing Point driver has the DRS, will have the DRS, but it looks like he has problems with his front wing. At least for me, looks like he doesn't have a front wing end plate, and my game has started to lag quite a bit, so I'm getting really confused now.
I think there is some problems with the syncing of the servers. Actually, no! It looks like Kevin Balish is having some issues with the front wing. He's missing...
And Evil
Ooh.
Kiwi goes round, and he is reversing very dangerously, but no one has hit him, thankfully. But he has lost many, many positions. He is now in 14th place, and Return will soon overtake the Williams driver. But meanwhile, in front, that is Shad up into P4, and looks like Jeff Kane is pitting. Looks like Kevin Balash. Well, that was a certainly not the kind of move you want to make. He was going into the pit lane, but then decided not to. That is a move that instantly gets you a 5 seconds penalty in Formula One. I'm not sure how about our race, of course, but that's the kind of move that will get you a penalty. Meanwhile, Shad will try overtaking round the outside. Will he make it stick? He will make it stick by the look of things, but still, they are going side by side into turn 6 and 7. But Shad is now up into P3, but it's now 3.4 seconds behind Shotis. Looks like the Polish Williams driver has really pulled some gap there.
Yeah, and while that's happening, we saw Gregor and Verstappen battle a bit behind that. It looks like Verstappen is having that overspeed over Greshu and Crysis behind him. So they're in a small three-way train there. It looks like Verstappen will be going for the move come the start-finish straight, maybe into turn 1. Going down the inside, that could be an interesting move. As Crysis is also just sitting there behind, maybe hoping for those two to make a mistake while they're battling, and that's Levy getting another 3-second time penalty. But now Crysis just almost went for the move on Verstappen. I think he thought better of it there. Now there's a bit too big of a gap for Crysis behind, but could Verstappen do something into turn 1? He's at least side by side coming into turn 1. They are going side by side into turn 1, but Gresher is able to defend that position well. And further down, Levy and Obi-Wan Kenobi were fighting. I think Crysis will be going down the inside of Verstappen, but Verstappen is able to pressure him onto that curb, which is a bit too high to do overtakes on. So that cost him a bit of time, and he is now behind Verstappen again.
Exactly, but still Grzegorz in that P4. Kevin Balash still 9/10 of a second behind Shad, so he still will have to. He will still have the availability of that DRS, but looks like that the Mercedes driver is making up some time. They are still going. They are still going to go probably 3, maybe 4 laps on those medium tires. Then they will change into hard tires. Meanwhile, where is Jeff Kane? Jeff Kane, of course, on the new set of hard tires, is down in 15th place. 7 seconds behind return, 2.4 seconds ahead of Richie B, who will have to pit yet again.
Yes, and I apologize for not showing any tire data on the screen. That's because, for some reason, my game does not want to sync with everyone else. So most of the drivers are driving on 0-lap old soft tires, and so that is not true. So just to drop any confusion there. But back to the battling, we see Scrippy and Obi-Wan Kenobi going side by side into turn 1. Obi-Wan Kenobi getting a position there. And Ripson, yeah, coming from behind there, but also Krysix and Verstappen further up just a bit there, going side by side. Sorry for jumping from that 9/10 place there, but going up here now.
Ripson overtakes Scrippy. Scrippy went too deep into that turn 6, but it didn't really make Ripson to, I don't know, didn't really disturb Ripson in overtaking the Alfa Romeo. How does the field look like now? Well, they are still going on that hard tires, of course, but they are closing to that pit window, and it will open very, very shortly.
Yes, it will, as these drivers have been pushing for a bit over 11 laps on these tires, at least the top 10, because they were also using them in qualifying. It seems like my computer doesn't want to stream this in proper quality currently, as it seems like it has picked it up again. But a lot of drivers are pitting now, so
Yeah, that's
we'll see a
Schultes,
shuffle.
that's Kevin, that's Krusix. Kevin Balash has changed his front wing. Obi-Wan Kenobi will probably do the same. Also, who else was in that pit lane? Krusix has been in that pit lane. Evil Keely has been in that pit lane. JSR has been in that pit lane. But where is Schultes? The current, well, maybe not current, but the race leader has gone out in P8. And let's see if the undercut will work. Will he be ahead of Shad after this round of pit stops, or will Shad actually emerge ahead of Schultes?
It'll be very interesting to see, because on those fresh hard tires, will he be able to get in those better lap times than the older medium tires, or have that crossover period not come yet? Another aspect is also clean air. If he can keep himself in the clean air, that will be a very helpful thing.
And he may do that he may actually do that. Shad has entered the start-finish straight right now, the end of lap 12, and he is pitting from those medium tires onto the hard tires. Will he go? Also the same for ARC Volsteppen. Selick will stay out. Also, Levy will stay out, and no, not Shad, of course, Scrippy and Ripson will stay out. They are all fighting for P2. Levy is on the outside, ARC Ripson on the inside, and the Ferrari driver goes up into P2. Meanwhile, Shad is going to be behind Schultes. It will be some 2 seconds maybe, but crucially, Shad will be behind Jeff Kane as well.
Yes, he will be about 8/10 behind Jeff Kane, so that'll mean that with some DRS help, he could be able to get himself up there and be in the fight, as Levy and Scrippy is really fighting away. There's some yellow
And
flags in Sector 1.
Verstappen is round. He was fighting with Krusix, but the Ferrari driver has binned it in turn 4. The familiar sight for us, because as we all probably know, Sebastian Vettel has done exactly the same in that corner and has lost his car in a similar way to ARC Verstappen. But crucially, Verstappen didn't lose any positions with that.
No, he didn't, but it looks like some of the gaps currently are stabilizing. We are only missing 2 drivers from making their pit stops, and we'll see where they will filter out compared to the other drivers. Very interesting thing that they are going this amount of laps. But I think the drivers that had to stop early on after those collisions could be forced to have to stop later in the race. We already see Richie B having done 2 stops, and a couple of guys at the front still need to do some stops. We see Soren and Nuts on 11 lap old hard tires. That could be a problem come later in this race. Maybe having to do another stop.
That may be that. Meanwhile, Schultes has closed on down to return. 2 or 3 tenths between them. Looks like the old set of hard tires is already giving up on return. But he's still going and still not letting the Williams driver overtake. But probably come turn 1 of lap 15, Schultes will be ahead of that McLaren, but that will be, he will have to work, basically. He will have to work some time, he will have to work hard for that overtake, but he will try something down into turn 13, a really opportunistic move, but he has made it stick. He is ahead of Schultes, return. Schultes now will have to defend from the McLaren driver, of course, but looks like also the McLaren driver has an issue with left end plate of his front wing. He doesn't have it. That's to be more specific. He will try something though into turn 1. Will it happen? Will he make it stick round the outside? Comes for the switchback move, but can't do that really. Meanwhile, Shad is fighting very, very hard with Jeff Kane. Remember that the Mercedes driver has fresher tires. He will go for the inside, but doesn't really make it stick, but has a better exit than Kane, but it doesn't really matter right now. Meanwhile, Kevin Balazs is 3 tenths behind ARC Verstappen. Levy gets what should be. There, Levy has DNF'd actually. What happened there? He went round. He spun out. He spun on his own actually. He spun on his own and crashed the car.
Oh yes, he did. That just spun out of that very tricky corner. Another corner that if you come in a bit too slow, you want to get early on the brake on the speeder, and then you can just spin it round and you just put it into the wall a bit too hard. Yeah.
Krusix gets 3 seconds time penalty. Meanwhile, Shad still tries to overtake Jeff Kane down the inside into turn 15. Almost gets into the side of Return, who still isn't pitting. They will both, Shad and Jeff Kane, will both have the DRS. Meanwhile, Selig and ARC Ribson are in the pit lane. DRS wide open for the Haas, for the Mercedes. They are fighting with the Return, but crucially, still, Jeff Kane is ahead of Shad, and that is a very good thing for Schultes, who will just casually drive away. And Krusix is attacking Shad into turn 4, down the inside, slight bit of contact. Doesn't go round though, but still Shad is in that P4.
And this is a train spanning all the way down into 7th place. He goes down the inside off Return. It doesn't look like he got the move to stick properly into turn 14. what will happen coming out onto the DRS straight. Ooh, Return not getting the best of exits. Gregos looks like he gets that position back from Return after that small scrap, but it looks like the other part of that train going from 3rd to 7th now has gone a bit obsolete, as these two drivers were challenging each other, but it looks like Shad is on the tail of Kane coming down onto the start-finish straight. Kane on a bit older set of hard tyres.
Scrippy comes into the pit lane for the first and only time. Shoulders has set the fastest lap of the race, 131.025. That is certainly one of the fastest laps I've seen around Bahrain. Meanwhile, Krusix has overtaken Jeff Kane. Of course, Shad has done exactly the same, and Kane is fighting with Krusix. He got a better exit out of turn 1, 2, and 3 complex and is ahead of the Renault. Grzegorz is in P5, just around a second behind, so he will look to join that fight for the podium.
Yes, and we just saw Kevin Balish and that was Verstappen fight a bit. They're keeping the position. They've been close for a good bit of the race, and it looks like they'll be keeping close here coming on to the DRS straight. You can almost call it the back straight here. As what will Kevin Balish do, as they also have Shelig looming in the background. So if these two fight a bit too hard, Shelig will be there to pick up these scraps, because he is on fresher medium tires. So that is a threat that they have to look for in their mirrors. Looking a bit forward, we'll see Krusix close to the fight with Kane. But again, Kevin Balish just marking himself in the mirrors now on to the start-finish straight. Here you can use a lot of ERS and some fuel and the DRS. Will he be able to make a move on Verstappen coming into turn 1? He'll be going down the inside. Will he be able to stick it through turn 1 as they brake hard? They're still going side by side through turn 2 now, out of turn 3 onto that next straight. And it looks like Kevin Balish gets it. But there's Shelig, as I said, behind us. They go 3 wide almost. Verstappen on the outside. Shelig trying to look to go down the inside, not being able to. There's some yellow flags. I think that's Evil Kiwi. Evil Kiwi is round coming out of turn 1, I believe that is, or that turn 1 complex. I'm not sure if he did that on his own or what happened there. But now that's Return behind him, but he went round. But back to this almost 4-way fight with Kevin Balish, Verstappen, and now that's Ripson coming into it. Because I think Evil Kiwi is gone round again. Really struggling. Goes into the wall again.
He will crash again. I imagine he is really frustrated. He has been. I mean, there was a car going through there, I thought, and that was Zoran actually. Okay, but yeah, Evil Kiwi is really having a bad time. Shad 2 seconds behind Shoulders. Meanwhile, Krusix tries again to overtake Jeff Kane, and this time makes it stick. Into turn 1 he goes, easy peasy lemon squeezy as they say, and he is up into P3. Krusix, remember, started last in this race after getting a qualifying ban. And Grzegorz is now getting really close to Jeff Kane, but really doesn't have. I don't think Grzegorz has the pace today to fight for the podium, unfortunately for him, but looks like he can't make that. There was a yellow flag in Sector 1. Wonder what happened there, but I'm not sure. Yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Shad. It's not Shad. That's the Evil Kiwi, of course. But yeah, that's lap 19. That is going to finish in probably 20 seconds, and we will start the final 10 laps of this race. Evil Kiwi gets a 5 seconds time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think
and has retired.
yeah, he just tried to get back to the pit lane to retire. But now here on ball with Gresha trying to hunt down Kane, as I think my game has bugged out.
Oh no.
It has at least just stopped doing anything. No, it
Oh
is
no.
back. It is back. We are doing good again.
Are you back in the lobby? Because
Yeah,
you have left the lobby.
I think it seems that way, as we will be trying to
So
use our.
thankfully you have a backup invite, so we will
Yeah,
only do some sort of radio broadcast. But really, there is nothing to broadcast in that fast style. Scrippy got a penalty. Nutter, he has been for 18 laps on that set of hard tires. He's pitting and putting a new set of medium tires. Meanwhile, Grzegorz is getting closer to Jeff Kane. 7/10 now between them. Jeff Kane is 2 seconds behind the podium though, so it doesn't look like it's a fight for podium for Grzegorz for now. Another close fight. It's the fight between ARC Volsteppen, ARC Ripson, Scrippy, and Scrippy. They're both going really fast. Remember that Ripson is on mediums, Verstappen is on hards. Scrippy dives from a long way behind and has overtaken ARC Verstappen. Up into P8 goes Scrippy. Looks like ARC Verstappen has lost some momentum going through turn 11 by through that incident, but he's still in that fight. 2 seconds ahead of Selig and another 2 seconds ahead of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Are you getting back into that lobby? Evil Kiwi gets another time penalty and has retired again.
Yeah, I'm currently loading up to the server. Looks like my game is just trying as hard as it can. Let's see, it is still communicating with online service. Maybe you can keep us updated.
We have a safety car. And we have a safety car caused, I think, by Evil Kiwi retiring in the pit lane. That's why the drivers are advised not to retire in the pit lane. That's why, and now we will have a really interesting finish to that race. Will anyone try to change for a new set of soft tires? They will probably make it till the end of the race, so it's possible to try and change into a new set of soft tires. I don't know really why we have a safety car, but as I said, that's probably because Evil Kiwi left the session, has retired in the pit lane and left the session. And as I've said, the drivers are strongly advised against that.
Maybe this could be a thing that will be taken up to the stewards after the race. Maybe some will debate that this will improve chances for Shoulders to win, because now he can go in and put on some fresh tires. But let's see, that is all to come after the race, as he pits now as
Everyone
well.
will try to pit.
Yeah.
Jeff Kane also does that. Grzegorz does that as well. So yeah, this is the prime opportunity. Chad will have to wait for Kane and Grzegorz to go round. Meanwhile, Schultes will just casually drive out with a bigger gap. But of course, we are in the pit lane. We are on the safety car conditions, so no one will really benefit from that big group in the pit lane. They won't really pull up any gaps in case of bad pit stops, because everything will be bunched up because of that safety car. Look what has Krusix done. He has actually put on a set of medium tires instead of softs. He will be probably very vulnerable, especially at the restart. He is half a second ahead of Shad, of course, but that doesn't matter really right now. Kevin Ballage is leading the race on hard tires. He will be very vulnerable at the restart. ARC Ripson and Strippy, they are both in P2 and P3 on a used set of medium tires. Schultes is the lead car who has pitted under that safety car. He has a new set of soft tires. Then Krusix with a new set of medium tires, and everyone from Shad all the way down to Nutternut is using soft new soft tires, a new set of soft tires. I should have said brand new sets for everyone, apart from Scrippy, Ripson, and Kevin. Okay, maybe not brand new for Zoran, who has pitted for a used set of soft tires.
Yes, indeed. As just finishing off that top 10, we had Kevin Balish in first, Ripson in second, Scrippy in third, finishing off that podium. But now we have what the net positions will be if the guys in front decide to pit. That is Schultes, Krysix, Shad, Kane, Greshu, Verstappen, and Schellig in 10th place, all on these new soft tires. So this will be a cracking battle until the end. And of course we also have the drivers behind Schellig down in 11th, 12th, and even down to 13 could attack into 10th place on the restart. So that's something we'll be looking forward to when that comes, which could be on this lap.
Yeah, probably this is the lap when the safety car will come into the pit lane. So that will leave us 6 full racing laps on those soft tires for the most of the grid, for on mediums for just a few guys, and on hards for Kevin Balash. I don't really think that Kevin Balash will stay there. I think he will plummet down the order. The question is, then we have a collision behind the safety car that looks like ARC Verstappen and Grzegorz, and there is a 5-second time penalty for Verstappen, and also a broken front wing for the Ferrari man. That certainly won't help him in that race. The safety car stays out, but it looks like Verstappen will have to pit again.
That is interesting things to do here on the last couple of laps. That will surely be taken up to the stewards. He must be furious in the cockpit, Verstappen, as he is missing a bit of his front wing there.
And safety car is coming at the end of this lap. Of course, remember that this year we have a rule change. When we will overtake. Well, oh man, my goodness me, the penalties. Well, Krusix gets a 5-second time penalty for going into the back of Schultes. But as I've said, we are going green. We can't overtake until the start finish straight. Unlike in previous years when we could overtake from the safety car line 1. So look at ARC Ripson. Now we can go green it is. And look at the guys trying to go down into turn 1. It won't finish well, I believe, because we have a bit of contact between and Ripson and Schultes. 3 seconds time penalty for JSR as well. But it is Schultes who has been up into it was P2, but I think Jeff Kane it was Selick actually going into the side of someone. I am actually getting a little bit confused in that battle because, there is a lot of cars going here.
Yeah, and we currently have Shad and Ripson fighting up for that 4th place, and further down Obi-Wan Kenobi got some positions there, but now Schultes is into 2nd place. He'll be catching up to Kevin Balish in a couple of laps, I believe, because he's on 12 laps old hard tires while Schultes is on 2 lap old soft tires. But amazing overtaking into turns 1, 2, 3 and 4 on this safety car restart, almost going 5 wide into turn 1. Amazing stuff from the drivers. A bit of collision, but nothing too major. No one out of the race other than the 2-1 that went out prior to the safety car, but there's some yellow flags in Sector 3. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi and Return has gone together. I don't know what happened.
Sally has lost a lot of front wing. Return has retired from the session. Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming into the pit lane. Crucix has somehow got down into P13. Remember, he was in P5 on that restart. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, really messy restart, you have to say. Schultz is only half a second behind Kevin Balash. We still don't have DRS enabled because it's second lap after the restart. And remember, it will be available on lap number 3. Meanwhile, Shad is now fighting with Strippy. He will go around the outside into turn 10, but it didn't really have to fight in that turn. He made the job, he got the job done ahead of turn 9 even. Look at look down the field. We don't have any fights going on, like no one is trying to fight right now, but many people are closing down on each other. We will have a packed finish, basically, a finish from a big group of cars, but let's look at Schultes, who is now half a second behind Kevin Balash. He will have a lot of battery to use, and he will probably put it into a good use. No DRS still, well, DRS is getting enabled just now, but still no attacks into turn 1, apart from Jegos, who is defending from Jeff Kane into that turn 1. But let's go back to Schultes because he got a better exit than Kevin Balash. He will have the DRS, he will have the outside line, and remember that I said the outside line is the line you want to take in that turn 4, and it's a beautiful pass for the lead, another pass for the lead, and Schultes is back into that lead. Let's go down the order, meanwhile, where Zoran has overtaken ARC Volstep and Selik has gone into the pit lane after losing quite a big chunk of his front wing on that restart. Let's go back to the top, because we still have many fights happening here.
You see Greshu on the tail of Ripson, only 4/10 behind, but didn't get the best of exits out of that turn, and we see Kevin Balash losing a lot of time to Schultes, and one of the drivers just... Yeah,
Richie B has lost it out of turn 11. He is down into P13 right now.
Yes, he is. Looks like he just stopped on my screen, but he could of course have lost it there. But yeah, looking up into 6th place, we see Gresha real close to Ripson with the DRS and with some battery and some fuel. Will he be able to use it into turn 1? I don't think he's close enough to go for the dive, but he is on the fresher tires, so in these closing stages he could be trying to go for P5. I think Richie B, I think he's having some issues on my screen as he's going
well, we
slow.
still have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Meanwhile, JSR tried to overtake Nuternets into P4, but that didn't happen. Crucix has pitted. He will probably try to set the fastest lap of that race, but will he make it? That's another story. Let's see what's the fastest lap right now, and it is 129.0 set by Obi-Wan Kenobi just now, and Richie B has retired from the session. What happened there? That was, I didn't know even which turn it was, because Selik is now going out of turn 3 up into turn 4. Probably Richie B has lost it somewhere, I don't know where. Maybe out of turn 7, but it's only a wild guess from me. Let's see. It's still not here. Well, where has Richie B lost? Yeah, that was in turn 8, actually. Okay.
Ooh, yeah, interesting place to lose it.
But meanwhile, we are starting the penultimate lap, and Kevin Balash will have to defend from Shad, who has the DRS wide open. He will have to go around the outside in order to overtake the pink Racing Point car, of course, not the Force India, because that would be a big mistake from me. But crucially, the Mercedes is ahead of the Racing Point, and now he has to Uh, he has to fight for that win. 1.5 seconds between him and Schultes. He still has a realistic chance of winning this race. Meanwhile, Kevin Balazs looks like he will stay on that podium. Looks like Skripy will have to fight for P4 with Ripson, but it looks like Grzegorz and Kane can't really close down on them.
No.
Meanwhile, JSR has finally overtaken Volsteppen into P10. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, I was just agreeing with you that I don't think Skripy will be able to catch up to Kevin Balazs up there, but I think Verstappen will be trying to overtake JSR into this next corner. Just showing himself in the mirrors there.
Will try, but it didn't happen as well. Meanwhile, Schultes is going through turn 15 right now to start the final lap of this race. 1.5 seconds between him and Shad. Looks like also Kevin Balazs is too far to fight with Shad for that P3, but the fight for P4 and Ricci and Obi-Wan Kenobi has left the session. Meanwhile, Jeff Kane down the inside into turn 1, but he still didn't overtake AOR Grzegorz. Meanwhile, Ripson has probably the final chance to overtake round the outside in turn 4, but he doesn't overtake Skripy. Looks like they will have to settle. They will have one more straight to come, one more DRS straight to come, that is, of course. Further down the field, we don't really have any fights. Schultes is now overtaking.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Ripson is going down the inside of Skripy there. I think he got it, but Skripy will be able to come back with DRS. But now he's having to defend from Greshu. Further back down, Greshu trying to go down the inside of Skripy as there's some contact between those two. As Skripy keeps the position, but now Kane comes on Greshu after the contact here on the final lap of the race. Very interesting contact there. That will surely be taken up with the stewards, but I think that will be Schultes trying, or he will go across the finish line to win the race. Shad in second place, Kevin Balazs in third, Ripson in fourth, Skripy in fifth. Actually, Skripy going down to seventh, Kane in fifth, Greshu in sixth, Skripy seventh, Nuts and Nuts in eighth, JSR 9th, Soren in 10th, Verstappen in 11th, Shrellick in 12th, it will seem, as he is one of the only drivers left, along with Krusix and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi has left the session, so it's really Krusix who we are waiting for. Return has left the session, of course, and now will Krusix take the fastest lap of the race? I don't think so. So it looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi has the fastest lap of the race, and we have finished the race.
And I think there we have lost some audio to my co-commentator, but here we see the podium as the drivers come out and a little bit of lag. That's very unfortunate. I think Discord has cried itself to sleep here because I'm not able to hear what my co-commentator is saying. But here the three winning drivers on the podium happily celebrating. That was a crazy race there. The drivers being able, after that safety car restart, as we here will be able to see what it was here at the end. Let's have a look here, as I hope that the standings will come up. Yeah, here we have Schultes winning the race after that safety car restart. Very well done to him. Shad in second, Balazs finishing off the podium. Then Ripson in fourth, Kane in fifth, Gresham in sixth, Skripy in seventh, Nuts in eighth, JSR in ninth, and Soren in 10th. And we have a couple of drivers not finishing the race, and Levy there in 18th, one of our first retirements. I think he got four penalties. So here we see also Verstappen in 11th, Schalik in 12th, Kreisig in 13th, and Obi-Wan Kenobi in 14th. Unfortunately, we're not able to re-establish connection to my co-commentator, but nonetheless, we will be seeing you next week out in China. So until next time, have a good one, guys.